I met a guy in Tucson earlier this month who wanted my advice on whether to buy this semi-crystal cabochon or a larger, cheaper one made of treated Andamuka matrix opal. I told him that he's going to have to decide this one for himself. This is matrix opal from Andamuka, South Australia. The great majority of matrix opal is not naturally black. It's light tan to white, but I treated these pieces to make the background black. I'll show you how I did that in a minute. With a black background, the amazing color is easy to appreciate, and I believe that this handful of treated Andamuka matrix opal is some of the most beautiful opal of any kind that I have ever seen. No, it's not super expensive like Lightning Ridge Black Opal because it's been altered. Many types of gems are altered, and altered gems are much less valuable than unaltered ones. Sometimes the alteration is not detectable, but with Andamuka matrix opal, the alteration is what makes it so great. But sometimes treated matrix opal is sold as Lightning Ridge Black Opal, the most valuable opal in the world. I've seen this many times on eBay and elsewhere. Later I will show you how to identify matrix opal so you don't make this mistake. Today, I'm going to take a piece of this and make a cabochon out of it. This is a 14.6 carat piece of Andamuka matrix opal. I think that it will make a good cabochon. I like the triangular shape, but if you look closely, you'll see that the edges are not really very straight. So the first thing I need to do is to straighten them. I have a flat lap that I use for things like this, but the flat lap on the side of the machine is good enough for this. And I'm sure that it will love to finally appear in a video, along with Sheila. Sheila, is she? Never mind. Shh. Maybe she's asleep. Oh, there you are, Sheila. We were just talking about you. Now, despite the fact that the surface is flat, you can really mess up things with this flat lap if you don't watch what you're doing. You will get a flat surface only if the stone is oriented in your hand correctly. Sheila, of course, really doesn't have this hand problem, at least not this type. The way that I like to make a triangular cabochon is to first remove material from the tops of each side, then by removing material from the top of the 3 points, then I can blend them together doing the usual grinding and polishing steps. Of course, because this is a matrix cabochon, I have to treat it with sugar and then with sulfuric acid, and then it should be ready. This is my standalone flat lap that I use mostly for polishing. I have cerium oxide powder on it, and this produces a great polish. With regular matrix opal, that some call hard matrix, I have no qualms about using cerium oxide, which some avoid for fear that it will get into tiny open areas. What the heck is a qualm? Anyway, if you're using rainbow matrix or some other type of matrix that is porous, you might want to avoid cerium oxide. This is a 24.7 carat chunk of semi-crystal opal sent to me by Riley Gunn of 53 Frogs on Opal Auctions, opal supplier to the stars, like Taylor Swift and Elvis. Riley also sells opal to ordinary people like, well, I guess I'm the only one, but he sells opal cutting paraphernalia too, like his now famous UV doping system. And check out his opal channel on YouTube. Riley has forgotten more about opal than I ever knew. I mean, almost. Okay, back to the story. This is a 24.7 carat piece of semi-crystal opal from the Opal Valley field of Coober Pedy, South Australia. But what is semi-crystal? What does it mean? Well, first, what is crystal opal? Crystal opal is opal in which the background is perfectly clear or very nearly clear. Semi-crystal opal is like crystal opal, but the background is a little bit cloudy. And because of the cloudiness, semi-crystal opal is not as valuable as crystal opal in general. So what is it called when the background is very cloudy, almost white? Well, that's called white opal. But you may have heard that if it isn't black opal, then it's white opal. Black or white. Pretty simple, but it's actually too simple. It's better to say black opal and light opal. Light opal can be broken down into crystal opal, semi-crystal opal, and white opal. Still pretty simple. Well, maybe not. Very often we see a transition from white to semi-crystal to crystal in the same stone. In this 7.5 ounce specimen from the Olympic field at Coober Pedy, there's white opal on the left, which transitions to semi-crystal, then crystal. But where do you draw the lines? Well, this is but another of the many things about opal that are not so black and white, if you know what I mean. Class dismissed. So how are we going to cut this 24 karat stone? It's pretty thick and both sides have good color at the surface. A smart cutter would slice this and make 2 stones out of it. But this is Pulitzer opal. There's nothing smart going on here, I guarantee it. I'm going to take this and make it into either a fat pendant or a big ass ring. Now, big ass rings are pretty popular, but opal is pretty fragile. And when the hands start moving, like after a few shots of 151, well, I'm just the cutter. So don't blame me for your wife's flailing arms. Let's get started. The first thing that I'm going to do is remove the sand from both sides of the stone. I've removed the sand off the top and the bottom. The stone looks good, nice and thick, but actually it's only thick enough if you can comfortably slice it in half. It's thick enough, but the color in this one is the problem. There are color bars, but they're somewhat narrow and confusing. I'm sticking with thick here. This is what happens for several hours while I'm cutting a stone in a video. I see a pencil and I start splaining. I know that it's never going to be in the video, and yet I can't help myself. I'm a great guy for not making you watch it, right? Right? I'll take that as a yes. Well, I eventually had to put this stone on the dopstick to finish shaping it and to polish it. I can't show you any more right now, but do you want to see another pencil clip? And now for the final stones. Wait a minute. I promised that I would show you how to tell matrix opal from regular opal, particularly black opal. As I mentioned, I've seen matrix sell as black opal, meaning lightning ridge black opal, many times. So listen up, don't get ripped off. We need to look at this with a loupe or other magnification. This is matrix opal. The color virtually always has a beaded pattern. But why? Well, the existing rock, the matrix, is limestone, and opal forms within the spaces between particles of limestone. So because the opal is confined to these areas between particles of limestone, it never gets the chance to form sheets of opal. With regular opal, the areas of color are surrounded by the same material that it's made of, silica, so that the edges of the color patches, I call them pips, are smooth. If you're buying online, all you have to do is ask for a high-resolution photo, and you will be able to zoom in on any computer or cell phone. So there you go. At 11.53 carats, we have Angel, a happy but skittish young matrix opal. She may be smiling now, but if you mess with her, you're on your own. She says that if you look closely, you will see that she is a genuine matrix opal and has the dots to prove it. We'll see about that. She was right. Genuine Andamuka matrix opal. Now, Angel likes to travel, and that's good, because I'm going to send her away to one of you. Miguel is a 7-carat handsome opal arrowhead. He's a sharp guy and knows how to think on his feet. And yes, he has feet. Tiny ones. He would have been larger, but the idiot who created him knocked off a piece of his head. He's a colorful guy, but he will lose that temporarily when he's inside an envelope on the way to one of you. And we also have Miguel's chips, including part of his head. I will be giving those away too. Dakota is a delightful but decisive opal with a plan. At 10.16 carats, she's a hefty opal and wants to be part of a ring, as long as we don't call it a big-ass ring. She's tough and is not worried about getting broken, but she may think twice about that when my wife puts her on her finger. We better not tell her about the wife thing. And you know, in looking at this opal close up here, I believe that this is nearly all crystal opal, with only a small area of semi-crystal, as I said before. I had to cut part of this video out because it was getting too long. To enter the giveaway, just leave a comment. Tell me something I don't know. As many of you know, I really love matrix opal, and I have an entire playlist of videos about it. Check it out, and I'll see you next time.